Why do humans imagine futures that don't exist and create works of art instead of just surviving? You felt it, that wild creative idea, a knowing that just arrives like someone hit download. What if our highest creative potential was deliberately installed? Ancient Sumerian tablets tell of the Anunnaki, cosmic architects who wired consciousness into humans. And now, modern science finds a primal design within your junk DNA, that 98% once dismissed as useless. But guess what? That genetic garbage turns out to be a powerful inner operating system, responsive to electromagnetic fields, light, and sound. I'm Joy Ofira, your host of The Future Lore, where we explore mystery with endless curiosity and joy. Today, we are headed out to the edges of archaeology, anthropology, and genetic science to ask, what if the answer to humanity's immense creative mystery isn't only found in evolution, but also unveiled by the oldest civilizations? Your sudden insights, those creative bursts, they might just be your interstellar system booting up.
In the future lore we stand so bright. Mystery calls in the dark of night. Curiosity dances in our eyes. Joyful beacons under endless skies.
Your consciousness, maybe not an accident of evolution, but an upgrade. Ancient texts, often dismissed as mythology, describe sky beings who came from heaven to earth, enhancing human mental and biological capabilities through precise intervention. The Anunnaki theory suggests that your creative spark, your drive to imagine, to build futures that don't exist, it's genetically engineered potential, not random mutation, and why you feel the impulse to create beyond mere survival. The Sumerians, pioneers of early civilization, boldly recorded these claims around 4000 BCE. Their cuneiform texts describe genetic mixing in terms that eerily mirror modern biotechnology. Words like combining essence, upgrading mental capacity, and activating dormant potential. It's like finding a textbook of advanced consciousness modification written in clay. This laid the groundwork for what we now call the Anunnaki theory. Scholar Zecharia Sitchin brought this idea into modern awareness through his controversial translations of those tablets in the 1970s. His work unveiled consistent patterns describing advanced beings. While mainstream scholars remained skeptical, Sitchin argued that these ancient accounts were actual historical events and not symbolic storytelling. The specific Sumerian timing aligns with archaeological evidence of sudden human advancement across the globe. From cave art to complex language and abstract mathematics, advanced thinking appeared across cultures with no apparent connection or gradual evolutionary development over time. The sheer ability to manipulate symbols and communicate intricate ideas kind of just appeared super rapidly rather than slowly evolving. Your brain itself, in its very structure, tells a similar story. Analysis of the evolution of human cranial capacity reviews truly non-linear development, with dramatic increases at specific breakpoints rather than through gradual expansion over eons, accelerations that contradict established biological principles and continues to puzzle mainstream scientists. Consider how your mind actually works. You rarely think your way into true inspiration. It often just arrives, as if from elsewhere. You don't usually calculate your way through to breakthrough solutions. Often they appear fully formed. Your greatest creative moments feel distinctly like receiving instead of like generating, as though you're tuning into something already existing rather than struggling to create something entirely new. And now, modern neuroscience supports this reception model through discoveries about non-local consciousness, quantum processes in brain tissue, and electromagnetic field interactions with neural networks. We're finding that our brains operate more like a squishy quantum computer than some kind of classical machine with levers and pulleys, processing information through entangled states and field interactions that transcend physical boundaries. So, what if the very you that questions these possibilities was designed from the outset to ask these very questions? Your inherent drive to explore consciousness, to create deeper meaning, and to push beyond conventional understanding might represent ancient programming finally awakening. Your recurring dissatisfaction with purely materialistic explanations could directly reflect a deeper knowing, intricately coded into your very genetic structure. Perhaps your exceptional nature isn't evolutionary luck, but evidence of deliberate design by cosmic architects who understood consciousness as programmable technology. So all of that sounds kind of crazy. Let's break it down and find out what one of the first human civilizations has to say. Imagine, by 3400 BCE, a civilization appears with complex writing, advanced math, and the stars accurately mapped, like finding a brand new iPhone 16 in a cave. Archaeology searches for clear precursors but finds none. They just appeared. We have to ask, how did they get so smart so fast? Their own records hold the key. Cuneiform tablets detail genetic manipulation procedures performed by the Anunnaki on early humans. The Enuma Elish creation epic describes how Enki, a prominent Anunnaki leader, fashioned humans from clay and divine blood to serve the gods. The language they used to describe this wasn't symbolic. Both Sumerian texts and modern genetic researchers discuss installing cognitive capabilities, programming behavioral patterns, and activating dormant genetic sequences. These descriptions in the tablets parallel contemporary biotechnology procedures for genetic modification and consciousness enhancement research. This terminology overlap between the ancient Sumerian accounts and contemporary research suggests that these texts might describe actual genetic engineering procedures rather than primitive creation myths. The concept of divine breath appears repeatedly in Sumerian accounts, describing a consciousness installation as a separate procedure from physical creation. The tablets explain biologicals required additional programming for full functionality. They distinguish different types of human creation, detailing Anunnaki experiments with genetic combinations. Some accounts describe creating workers with enhanced physical capabilities, and others installing advanced cognitive functions. This was consciousness activation, installing awareness, creativity, and higher cognitive abilities. The process involved specific techniques, timing, locations, and even detailing which Anunnaki leaders conducted which experiments and what results they achieved. This level of detail is similar to recording direct scientific observations. The sophistication of Sumerian astronomical knowledge was uncanny. Their calculations accurately predicted celestial events centuries in advance and mapped planetary movements with precision that wasn't matched until modern telescopes. They understood complex relationships between the Earth, the moon, and solar cycles, requiring sophisticated observation tools and mathematical frameworks. Beyond astronomy, the Sumerians credited every major advancement directly to intervention rather than human discovery or gradual learning. Writing, mathematics, architecture, agriculture, and legal structures, according to their records, all originated from instruction. The tablets even specify which Anunnaki taught which skills, when these sessions of teaching occurred, and how humans received this knowledge, suggesting ongoing interaction rather than a one-time contact. The Sumerian accounts are striking in their consistency. Across thousands of independent tablets, written over centuries by different scribes, the Anunnaki descriptions are remarkably uniform in technical details, names, procedures, and historical chronology. It's more like a systematic record keeping of actual events than evolving mythological stories that would naturally show variation. But what if it's not just a Sumerian secret, with just their documents outlining how humans were upgraded rather than occurring by evolutionary accident? What if the same unbelievable story is echoed across disconnected cultures, oceans, and millennia? Let's go global. Here's where it gets wild. Cultures separated by vast oceans and thousands of years should not share identical stories about sky beings who enhanced human consciousness. But, remarkably, they do, with uncanny accounts that echo the Sumerian Anunnaki narratives. They describe similar beings, procedures, and impact, suggesting a global blueprint for interaction. From scorching deserts to icy tundras, independent civilizations recorded remarkably similar encounters. Take the biblical Nephilim. Genesis describes sons of God who came to earth and mated with human women, producing enhanced humans. Maybe these weren't symbolic marriages, but genetic mixing procedures. The Hebrew term Nephilim translates to those who fell or those who came down, directly echoing the Anunnakis, those who came from heaven. And then in the book of Enoch from Ethiopian Christianity, it describes watchers who taught humans advanced knowledge like metallurgy, astronomy, weapon making, and complete technological packages that were transmitted directly to these primitive humans. Hindu scriptures, like the Mahabharata, tell of Vimanas, self-moving aerial cars with flight capabilities, weapon systems, and propulsion methods. And the Ramayana even details mercury-powered engines and crystalline energy sources. These accounts also describe genetic enhancement by celestial beings called devas, installing cognitive functions by combining divine essence with human biology. And Native American traditions across disconnected tribes share tales of star people who descended to teach, guide, and enhance humanity using flying craft and advanced healing. The Hopi describe Kachinas as star beings upgrading human capabilities and consciousness. The Lakota tell of star nations. The Cherokee of interactions with beings from the Pleiades. Egyptian texts tell of the Neteru, divine beings from the stars, who established civilization along the Nile, teaching hieroglyphic writing, architecture, and medicine. Then, the Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime stories describe sky heroes who came to the landscape using flying objects and performing genetic modification. African traditions across the continent describe sky beings, teaching metallurgy, agriculture, and governance. And maybe you've heard of the Dogon people of Mali, who possess detailed astronomical knowledge about Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible to naked eye observations centuries before telescopes existed. They credited this to beings they called the Nomo from the Sirius system. What makes these global accounts so weird isn't just their similarity, but also their specificity. Independent cultures describe identical procedures: genetic mixing, consciousness installation, technology transfer, and civilization establishment. The consistency extends to technical details, chronology, and even physical descriptions of the beings involved. Could isolated groups have stumbled upon the same sky person stories independently? To me, the pure mathematical impossibility is about near zero. And if that chance is zero, does it transform the Anunnaki theory from an isolated Sumerian claim into worldwide documentation of beings whose influence spanned the entire planet? These ancient accounts raise the next question of timing. So let's look in another direction. If genetic modification truly occurred, wouldn't we see evidence of dramatic changes in human development that defy normal biological evolution? And here's where science hits a wall. Your human brain exploded in size, not gradually, but in sudden, inexplicable bursts. The size roughly tripled over 2 million years, an unusually rapid rate, unlike any other species on Earth, breaking every rule of gradual biological development. What if these profound accelerated leaps, these evolutionary cheat codes, are precisely the kind of indelible mark left by the architects the Sumerians describe, or some similar advanced intervention? Across the globe, all of these emerge simultaneously. Abstract reasoning, complex language structures, symbolic communication like art and personal ornaments, mathematical understanding, astronomical knowledge, and geometric concepts that far exceeded survival needs. Pool complexity jumped from simple stone to multi-component devices requiring planning and abstract thinking. These cognitive leaps appeared among geographically separated populations at the same time. Cranial capacity analysis reveals two critical jumps outside of evolutionary expectations. The first about 2.1 million years ago, coinciding with sophisticated tool emergence. The second hit about 113,000 years ago, aligning with symbolic behavior and modern human trait development. These weren't slow transitions, but sudden accelerations. And the weirdest part? The archaeological record reveals that these cognitive development patterns align precisely with ancient accounts of external intervention. The 2.1 million year breakpoint corresponds with ancient descriptions of initial contact. The 113,000 year breakpoint with biblical accounts of interactions and consciousness upgrade programs. The metabolic impossibility further deepens this mental mystery. Your brain chugs down about 20% of your body's total energy, even though it's about only 2% of your weight. The difficulty of powering rapidly expanding brains on ancient food sources implies serious shifts from primitive diets that just aren't likely to have occurred within the standard evolutionary timeline. Did it take a helping hand from someone perhaps with the technological means the Anunnaki texts record? Some scientists propose the cooking hypothesis, but cooking alone couldn't drive the rapid coordinated human food development that appeared worldwide, all during the same time periods. Your brain's unique architecture differs fundamentally from other primates in ways that cannot be explained through gradual evolution. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for abstract thinking, expanded disproportionately. Language processing areas develop specialized neural networks with no parallel in related species. These structural changes seem like more than an accident. Even now, modern neuroscience discoveries compound these evolutionary mysteries through evidence of quantum processes within our brain tissue that just shouldn't exist according to classical biology. Microtubules within neurons show amazing quantum coherence effects, making your brain operate more like a quantum computer that we don't quite understand. So your exceptional cognitive abilities might be engineering achievements outside of natural evolution. The rapid development, metabolic impossibilities, and synchronized appearance of human cognitive expansion could point to a grand design. Were these leaps for humanity totally natural or extraterrestrial activation? Our genetic inheritance might hold the answer. Guess what's been hiding in plain sight? Your own DNA. For decades, scientists dismissed 98% of it as junk, literal garbage. They called it useless, but now we're discovering it's actually a highly sophisticated control system, actively regulating everything from cellular processes to, get this, consciousness, creativity, and cognition. Like a hidden level in a video game, just waiting to be unlocked. Researchers historically approached DNA like a simple instruction manual, expecting each sequence to serve an obvious mechanical function. When they couldn't find clear protein coding purposes, they labeled them as junk and moved on. This reductionist thinking completely missed the hidden complexity within your genetic structure. The ENCODE project shadowed this narrow perspective. Researchers made a discovery that revolutionized science by proving that non-coding sequences function as a sophisticated control system that determines when and how genes activate or deactivate. They contain regulatory elements called enhancers and silencers that boost or decrease gene activity with precise timing. These filters coordinate complex orchestration of cellular development, ensuring that specific genes activate in proper sequence, a master conductor directing a vast genetic symphony. Emerging models suggest that your DNA's double helix acts like a finely tuned antenna, super sensitive to electromagnetic signals that directly influence your genes using frequency modulation. This quantum power upgrades DNA from passive storage into an active communication system, processing non-local information from beyond your body. And let's not forget the light within us. DNA also beams out biophotons, tiny packets of energy that help cells all over your body chat with each other. These light emissions create intricate information channels coordinating your entire biology. It's a dance of consciousness within your very DNA, much like those divine communication channels described in ancient texts. And here's where it gets even more wild. Quantum effects within DNA include proton tunneling phenomena. This means genetic information can actually shift and change dynamically, adapting in response to your consciousness, your environment, and even your intentions, rather than staying rigidly fixed. At this point, you won't be surprised to hear that ancient descriptions of genetic enhancement align with these cutting-edge DNA discoveries. From Sumerian texts to biblical references and Hindu texts describing consciousness programming, these strikingly match scientific findings about DNA's quantum properties and remarkable electromagnetic responsiveness. This suggests that DNA functions as the hardware specifically designed for dynamic consciousness software, rather than being fixed biological programming. Dynamic programmable nature of DNA emerges clearly through its measurable response to consciousness, direct intention, and environmental influences. Scientific studies consistently show that focused awareness, deeply felt emotional states, and intentional practices can significantly influence genetic expression patterns. Your DNA may well contain specific activation codes for expanded consciousness, codes that ancient wisdom traditions carefully preserved. The access portals include specific meditation techniques, sound work, and deep consciousness expansion practices designed to unlock your inherent genetic potential. Every synchronicity, every intuitive flash, every creative download. What if these aren't just random brain activity, but your own inner system booting up? Your brain isn't just generating, it's receiving, and you can learn how to tune in on purpose. Certain mind-body practices alter gene-regulating networks in cells, showing consciousness can impact DNA activity in measurable biological terms. Studies show that focused awareness, meditation, and intentional breathing practices influence genetic expression in real time, activating sequences associated with neuroplasticity, cognitive enhancement, and creative function. Your mind is literally communicating with and changing your genetic structural body through quantum field interactions. Enhanced creativity emerges when these systems activate, perhaps because you gain access to information in the larger field beyond your personal knowledge base. Artists, inventors, and innovators describe receiving inspiration in downloads and dreams, rather than creating ideas from whole cloth from logical thinking. It looks like we have the capacity to access information networks by activating genetic systems, and these connections provide solutions and creative expressions beyond individual capability. You can experiment with consciousness expansion through simple practices that influence genetic activation. Even a few minutes of focused breath can literally shift electromagnetic fields around your cells, optimizing your DNA for reception. Sound meditation using specific frequencies resonates with genetic activation patterns. Getting outside into natural environments is shown to support genetic system coherence, and this can cut through the static that blocks your reception. If you can systematically track correlations between your experimentation and consciousness practice and enhanced capabilities, the more that you'll tap into your own structural gifts and truly understand which techniques reliably produce the strongest activation effects for you. The more you pay attention to synchronicity, creative downloads, and intuitive flashes as tangible evidence of genetic activation, rather than dismissing them as mere random events, the more that you can ultimately reveal how your unique genetic configuration best responds to different approaches. So, what if your consciousness represents sophisticated technology and not a biological accident, and is equipped with quantum processing capabilities that connect you to information networks beyond your individual awareness? Every moment of inspiration could demonstrate genetic systems that were designed for expanded function, systems that could have been installed by some kind of ancient cosmic CRISPR. And if your intentions can truly rewrite your DNA, recognizing that inheritance can transform your ideas of just what you're really capable of. So here we are. While theories of engineered consciousness aren't at all proven, ongoing research into DNA's quantum behaviors offers new, profound insights into our inherent creative potential. We always have room to grow through clear intention and consistent practice. And recognizing this capability can transform everything you think about yourself and humanity. I mean, maybe it was aliens, but whether it's the Anunnaki's grand cosmic design or simply evolution's greatest magic trick, one thing is undeniably true. Your consciousness, your true self, is far more powerful and mysterious than you've ever been told. And your genetic code isn't just a manual for survival. It's a legacy of ingenious, audacious creation, whether selective mutations or a blueprint etched by architects from the stars, maybe the ones that the very Sumerians met. You are the living embodiment of mystery, and the journey into unlocking that, it's always just beginning. So you tell me, were we created by an alien intelligence? The comments are open. And please, it really, really helps. Like, subscribe, and sign up for notifications on YouTube, or follow, rate, and review on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Want even more? Visit thefuturelore.com, where you can join our free community and find all of our official links to @thefuturelore with no spaces everywhere. Thanks so much for tuning in, my loves. And remember, embrace the mysterious and stay curious.